Good morning. It is Friday, April 22nd. It's Earth Day, which I was like 2 seconds away from swapping out the blue. It's here. Hang on a second. I'll get that for Red Day. And I guess everything Keller Williams. This is for October for breast cancer, and I suppose all the cancers at that point, because now we battle all the cancers in October. Where is it? Here's the green one. There it is. Earth Day. So know that I was going to put this on, and then I didn't, so we're fine. But yeah, all the colors. Everybody's like, why is it colored? I'm like, I don't know, because I got bored and I bought more mic covers, so I did. Anyway, Friday the 22nd of April makes it Tuesday, July 21st in your hearts and in your bank accounts, because we're always 90 days out from the opportunity to build our financial opportunity for our family. So today, whatever your activities are today, are going to be a closing table for you in 90-ish days. Now, the argument is always, well, Timmy, things are closing faster than that. Okay. Back in the Bronze Age, when real estate made sense, it was about 90 days because you're getting the listing signed, then you're prepping and decluttering and staging and shooting photos, then you're getting it on the market. And then after that, ultimately, you are moving it into showings, and then it takes a little while normally. So we're, 30 days on the market in a lot of markets, and you had about 2 weeks to prep it. And I think most agents are now like, no, 4 to 7 days now. But maybe 7 to 14 days back in the Bronze Age between getting it signed and getting it prepped and getting it up and running. So now you're at 45 days. And then if you talk to most of your lenders, our good friend Brad would tell you, it's about 45 days for traditional lending. So that's why we always talk about 90 days. So that's why today being Friday, April 22nd, really makes it Tuesday, July 21st. So we're in the heart of the summer for our closings. And the important thing about this is how many conversations are you having? So if you were fortunate enough to join us for All Partners, which took place on Wednesday at the Atlantic Grill, we're going to be rotating these up and back. Our next one will be in May, and we'll be heading north for that. I think we've secured the location. We'll have more information about that, but it'll be that third Wednesday in May. We'll do our next All Partners meeting. And at the last one, when I got up to talk about all the things that are coming up for education, and we'll get into the calendar in just a second, we started out with having the conversation about the equity update and what I refer to as the Trojan horse listing appointment, and your opportunity ultimately to get into conversation with the people that you know and love and trust. So I asked everyone in the room, and there was like, I don't know, we had a good crowd. I mean, I'm gonna ballpark it. I think there were 80 chairs, so we probably had milling about somewhere between 80 and 100 people in the room. And I asked everybody, do you know somebody? And all the paws went up. And then I said, do you know somebody who owns a house? And they kept their hands up. And I said, do they deserve an equity update? And I asked people to take out their phones and to call that person in the moment. And now everybody, and this is classic human instinct, everybody just looked at me like he's not serious. And I was. 2 people in the entire crowd. And there's no judgment here, because this is what happens all the time, because people are uncomfortable. I don't want to make these phone calls in front of other people. It sounds like a call center, whatever your limiting belief was in the moment. The 2 people that actually did the activity in 2 different ways, one person, Kristen Cohair, actually made the phone call and got an appointment. I think she was going on that today. And then Alice, God bless Alice, she texted somebody. And I can tell you Alice probably texted the person, because she'll tell you that in a crowded room, she would probably say, I couldn't really hear them, or whatever the case may be. So she texted, also set an appointment. Of course, Alice set an appointment. So there's no judgment. My point being, if more people in that moment had done the activity, we probably would have had better results. So what will you do today to change your results? Because everybody, to a person, will tell me, well, Timmy, I know, and I love picking up the old school 1938 phone with, the cord on it. Whether you're grabbing your desk phone or you're grabbing your cell phone, and people go into a weird headspace with this, they're like, well, I'm better off face-to-face, Timmy. I appreciate that. We definitely are. We talk about the math all the time. If you don't know this math, and I always screw with the percentages, but it's pretty close to this. 7% of our effectiveness as a human is that the words that we choose. So whatever the words are that are flying out of your face is 7% of your effectiveness. 43% of your effectiveness is the tonality in which you deliver those words. So this is where text will fail you. okay? And don't get me wrong, and even at a MAPS coaching level within Ignite, starting in May, back in the Market Center, we'll talk about that in a little bit, Bold, they will count a real-time transaction of conversation through social media, meaning direct messaging, texting, that is considered a contact, okay? And we just know in our hearts, deep in the cockles of our cockles, it is less effective. It just is. Because things get lost in text. If you're a guy and a girl texts you, if you're a girl and a girl texts you, if you're a guy and a guy texts you, and they text you capital H-E-Y, they're mad. If they text you capital H-E-Y-Y-Y ... they want you to come over and Netflix. Right? I mean, like there's an intonation there that we're not getting to because that doesn't normally happen. Usually you read a text and you're like, God, are they upset? Because there's no context. There's no capitalization. They didn't use any emojis. There's no heart. There's no flowers. There's no champagne. There's no Netflix. It gets lost in translation. When I pick up the phone or when I interact in person, right? And this is where we know the other 50% of your effectiveness is your body language. So your ability to communicate at a really high level, even on Zoom, or the tool I'm using today, like when we use eCam right now, if you were listening to me say this, you'd hear the passion in my voice, you'd hear the words I'm delivering, but you can't see me flailing my hands. You can't see the expressiveness in my face. You can't see the allergies in my left eye. Pollen's back, and she's a pain in the ass, right? You're losing all that. So you can make a contact via text. Alice did, and it worked. We know everything ratchets up when we have the conversation. So as we talk about your vital signs, and I was up in North Conway yesterday because we're touring again as coaches on Thursdays. I will be in Meredith next week. So I'm going to invite everybody from the Lakes region to join me. If you're in the Wolfboro office or the Meredith office, 12 noon in the training room, let's get together and have a mastermind. And let's talk about our results. But when we get together, and especially in a smaller conversation, and yesterday in North Conway, we went around the table and we talked about our vital signs. What are your vital signs? Do you understand what the vital signs are? If you don't, and you've got a sharp crayon, write these down. Vital signs are wildly important. This is the lifeblood of our business. And you probably know these numbers, or depending on the size of your team and the leverage you built into your life, somebody else is definitely holding on to these numbers for you. But the categories we want to know for sure are signed listings. How many signed listings do you have? And none of these categories should cross-pollinate. If you're letting these categories cross-pollinate, you're cheating yourself, okay? Signed listing. What's a signed listing? It means I just sat at somebody's kitchen table. They signed a listing agreement. They're going to work with me, but it's not active on the internet yet. I haven't told the universe about it yet. How many signed listings do you have? Write that number down. Next one. How many active listings do you have? That means it's now on the internet. And it's not under contract. It's on the internet, and it's being viewed by the universe. Okay? How many active signed buyers do you have? Why do we say active signed buyers? Why is that so important? Because if I ask you how many active buyers you have, you open up the window, you're like, Timmy, see all those people out there? They're all going to buy one day, and they're going to use me. Well, that's good for you. Cool thought. I don't know how true that might be. But if they're an active signed buyer, what are the categories we want for an active signed buyer? We want to have shown them the Form 3 in Maine or the broker's disclosure in New Hampshire. Above and beyond that, we want to make sure that they've signed a buyer's agency agreement, and we've talked to them about our commission and how it gets supported, and that there might be a delta and all those things. And then ultimately what we want to make sure they've also signed is the Keller Williams general disclosure, which talks about Megan's Law and hazmat and all that good stuff, and wire fraud. And then we definitely want to make sure that from our active signed buyers who are fully motivated, that we have from them proof of funds or pre-approval. Hyper important. Well, Timmy, I'll definitely talk to a lender, or we'll figure that out when we find what we're looking for. It's going to be gone when you find what you're looking for. And if we can't have that honest conversation with them now, we're probably going to struggle with honest conversations then. Our job is to set them up for greatness. Our job is to facilitate a clean transaction, interpret the paperwork for them, and navigate the transaction for them. So active sign buyers, how many do you have? Write that down. Is it a zero or a crooked number? After that, how many do you have under contract? And again, none of these categories cross-pollinate. Signed listings are exclusive. Active listings are a separate number. Active sign buyers are a separate number. None of those first three categories go into the under contract, because under contract is under contract. How many do you have under contract? Write that number down. And we're going to come back and review some numbers here in a second. After under contract, what's important to know? And I'm going to use the base language of command, whatever your CRM is, top producer, Brivity, whatever you're using. Everyone at our company has access to command, so I'm going to use the language of command. How many people, how many humans do you have in command? And what does a contact in command look like? If it's hyper clean, it means you have Timothy Lindsay. It means you have 603-834-2856. It means you have tim@leavemealone.com, the email, and it means you have 123 Main Street. I want to know their name. I want to have their last name spelled correctly, because if I'm going to start to use this intel to send out postcards or anything, I don't want to be in contact with them and be screwing up their first or last name, because that doesn't make them feel heard and cared for. And all of our people want two things. They want to feel heard and cared for. So how many people do you have in your database? And then in said database, if it's command, how many smart plans are you running? Because what is the use of having any database if it's not using its power while you're at dinner, at church, asleep, to create more opportunity for you? That's the purpose of having your database. So it can continue to stay in contact with your people on your behalf while you're doing other things. It is a functionary while you're fiduciary. Okay? So with all those categories, what are your numbers? And the important thing to know next to those numbers, if I've got 2 signed listings, then ultimately we want to know, well, what's the volume on those 2 signed listings? We always want to have that number. Active listings. If you've got stuff active on the market, what's the total volume of what you have active on the market? Active signed buyers. Here's a tricky one, because people always push back on this. With your active signed buyers, what is the total volume? Well, I don't know, Timmy. They haven't bought anything yet. Well, you should know, and I'm not here on a Friday morning to should all over you, but stay with me. Why should we know what the total volume of our active signed buyers is? Well, the lead indicator on that would be their pre-approval. Now, their pre-approval could be for $750. In this market, I'm not going to educate my people, hey, you're qualified for $750, we're going to spend $750. No, they probably need a buffer between what they're willing to spend and what they might need to spend to stay competitive in this marketplace. Above and beyond that, debt-to-income ratio, do they want to move into a house and be house poor? So just because they're approved for $750 doesn't mean they want to spend $750, because they don't need to. They have X for buying power. They're going to spend Y so they can enjoy Z. Okay? Active signed buyers. What's the total volume they're going to spend? Numbers we should know. Because if you had an honest conversation about what they're looking to buy, you should have a general idea of what their spending power is and what their spending power needs to be for them to be successful. Or we need to re-educate them on what they can purchase in the current market. Under contract. 2 numbers we need here. What is the total volume? Well, obviously, how many are under contract? What's the total volume of what's under contract? And when does the last one close? Why is this important? If you've got 3 under contract and the last one closes on July 21st, what do we know? Between July 21st and August, September, October 21st, 90 days out from July 21st, there's nothing coming in. So we want to know the date of the last one closing, because that date and 90 days out. So if you have your 3 transactions closing and the last one closes June 10th, between June 10th, as of today, between June 10th and July 21st, there's no new income coming into your household. Makes sense? We always want to know, when does the last under contract close? Important to know. And then command, how many people are in there? Why is that number important? I think a lot of you have really great numbers, probably scattered everywhere. Getting it into one place, eliminating redundancies, and then starting to communicate with those people. When we have a database, you want to open it, right? Open it, build it, get your first run of people in there, feed it, continue to add people on a regular basis, communicate with it, and then service the leads that come from it. Because you hear all these different words and different expressions that we use in real estate, certainly here at Keller Williams. Well, what's the differentiation between a contact and a lead? A contact is one of your people that you know and love and trust, somebody that you can communicate with freely right now. And those are the people that are already in your life. They would arguably, most of the people in your database are probably a met. A lead is information connected to an unmet that you got from somebody else. An aggregator, a loved one. That's a lead. A lead turns into a contact when you have the ability to continue to communicate with them in an interpersonal relationship or in a business relationship. You've had the initial conversation. You've asked for permission to stay in touch, the permission-based conversation. Otherwise, if they start to get intel from you, it's just spam. And everybody says, well, Timmy, I don't want to come across as salesy. Well, then don't spam people. And how do you not spam people? You earn permission from them to stay in contact in a business sense because you found out what their next logical step is in real estate, whether they're going to buy, sell, invest, or maybe even join the brokerage, right? Every one of our conversations with anybody on planet Earth is BLT. Here comes another food analogy, right? We're looking for buyers, listings, and talent. We always put listings first, though, but BLT just sounds better. Doesn't it sound good? Maybe I'll grab one for lunch. Buyers, listings, and talent. Because when people say to you, how's real estate? Hey, I'm really glad you asked. You know what? We're looking to help 24 more families this year. Who do you know that we should know? Well, what do you mean by that, Timmy? Well, we're looking for listings for our buyers. Even if you're party of one at Keller Williams, how many fellow agents do you have? About 739. Use the royal we. And it's not disingenuous to steal our math. You can talk about, we just went over the numbers on Wednesday. You can talk about what we're doing as a company, just our little company here, 463, Keller Williams Coastal Lakes and Mountains. We're looking for listings for our buyers, buyers for our listings, and talent for our team. Oh, Timmy, well, you just got started. I didn't know you were building a team. Well, I'm not building my team, but we're always looking for great new agents or great new talent to join the market center so we can help more people. Are you having that conversation on a regular basis? And that might be the only opportunity in their head, right? Because what we have to do at that point when we ask that question is go quiet and let the silence do the heavy lifting so they have time to think. And this is where it's hyper important for people to be okay with drilling down into categories. It's funny, some people are very uncomfortable because if I'm friends with Ted and I know Ted's daughters play soccer and I know he attends, he's Episcopalian and they go to service every week. His daughters play soccer and he and his wife are in a cooking class. Or they go to dance lessons. If I know that about him, then I'm going to drill down and ask a different question. Who do you know from soccer, church, or cooking class? Or painting class, or whatever it is. Men's golf league, women's golf league. Because this is what happens to our people, and we have to give them grace. When you say, who do you know on planet America that wants to list a home, buy a home, invest in real estate, or join the industry? You've just asked one human on planet Earth to think about all the humans. And what do you expect them to do? And this isn't going to hold true for everybody, but a lot of people are just going to black out. They'll be like, I don't know. There's a lot of people on the planet. So if we drill down and go into categories in their life, which, as you peel the onion a little bit, you're now reminding Ted, especially if I know that he belongs to, if I know he goes to St. John's, or if I know he goes to Great Uniting Church because he's United Methodist, or whatever it is, if I can mention the church by name, if I can mention the Barrington Soccer League, or if I can say, hey, the men's league over at Pease, when I can drill down and remind them so they feel heard and cared for, that I know about their life, I'm invested in their greatness, they're going to want to be invested in mine. And as soon as we can start to romanticize and emotionalize what we do for a living, and that's important. Who's taken bold? Raise your hand if you've taken bold. Logic makes them think. Emotion makes them act. If we want to get people involved in what we're doing, if we want them to have buy-in in what we're doing, we have to make it not be transactional. And most of us don't want to get on the phone and have a conversation because we feel like it's very transactional. And you can be in real estate and be a transactional realtor, and it may not last very long. If you're going to tab A, slot B your way through this industry, it may not last very long. And you could argue, well, everybody's different, Timmy. I'm a high I followed by my S. So for me and my disc, and we do your disc and your KPA with you. So on your disc, where do you fall? I'm an ISDC. It means I want to talk, then I want to hug, then I want to get it done, and I don't care about the paperwork. So for me to emotionalize and romanticize what we do for a living might be my genius zone. If you're a high DC, that means you want it done yesterday, right? You want all the facts yesterday, because high C is law and order. High D is hurry up. And those people might behave, they might come across as they are very transactional. At the same time, there's a way to fall in love with the grind. And if you can fall in love with a process, your process, it will change everything. So what conversations can you have today? And we talk about the equity update and how it can be the Trojan horse listing appointment. And why is that? If you have someone in your life that owns a home and you think you're going to hit the lottery and happen to talk to them on the right day when they're about to become transactional, you're fooling yourself. I say it with love. The only reason people stay engaged with us is because we stay engaged with them. It is not their job to remember all of the realtors in their life and then pick the one they love the most. It's our job to remind them that we're alive and we're here to help, and that when they become transactional, we can assist them. Until then, who do they know that we should know? And when they're like, oh, what do you mean by that? You don't go to the numbers. Well, this year, me and my team want to do 48 transactions, and we're on transaction number 32, and I need 16 more transactions. You can, if you want to use those words, you can, if that's comfortable for you and it's working with your sphere. Amen, sister. Emotionalize it. Get them emotionally involved in the journey with you. I'm really glad you asked. You know, my team and I set out in 2022 to help 48 families. And we've helped 25 so far. We're looking for 23 more families to help. So who do you know that I should know? Or what do you mean by that, Timmy? Well, we're looking for listings for our buyers. Do you know anybody who's considered selling their house? We're looking for buyers for our listing. Is there anybody searching that's struggling with their search? And we're always looking for more talent for our team. And if you run into this objection, because you'll hear people say this, you'll hear agents say this. Well, there's so many realtors already. Do you really need more realtors? In the current state of affairs, the state of New Hampshire right now, just the state of New Hampshire alone, is carrying less listings. The entire state's carrying less listings than our market center normally carries at this time of year. So do we need more realtors? Yes. Because a large and inordinate amount of realtors right now, said with love, aren't doing their job. Our job is to help people make a logical decision of what's next for them. And we are incapable of doing that if we don't have the conversation. And the moment that somebody tweets or Snapchats or Instagrams or Facebooks their way to greatness, Gary will have them on stage. When you talk to every person, and it's going to come up in Mega Camp, August 23rd and 24th, down in Austin. If you like 106 degrees, barbecue, and great music, and Gary Keller, join us. And Gary puts people on stage, and what do they talk about? How they got to where they are. And without fail, it is direct connection. It is conversation. Great book. If you've never read Fierce Conversations, Susan Collins. The relationship is the conversation. The conversation. This is not a conversation. This is a versation. I am talking, 2.5 people and maybe 3 cats are listening. A conversation is question, intel, because that's one of our biggest fears. I don't know what to say, Timmy. And this is where Jason Abrams would say, well, just use the Adele script. What's the Adele script? Hello? That's the Adele script. Just start having a normal human interaction. What's going to come up? If they know, and if they don't know, well, this is part of the nurture. Because a lot of us are guilty that you could grab their phone, and I ask people this all the time. If I grabbed your phone right now, and I Russian rouletted, and just scrolled through all the names, and picked one, and called and said, hey, Stacy, hey, this is Tim, a good friend of Nathan Dickey's. I was wondering, do you know what Nate does for a living? Would everyone in your phone be like, oh my God, he or she is a realtor. They're with Keller Williams. They want to help 48 families. They might not know your annual goals. Do they know what you're doing? Or do they still think you're at Kohl's folding T-shirts? Do they still think you're at Liberty Mutual? That's the groundwork we got to lay. Above and beyond that, what's going to come up? If they know you're in real estate, you ask them about Liberty Mutual. They're like, it's okay. We're back in the office. And they roll their eyes. Or you're on the phone and you can hear them roll their eyes. They're going to say, hey, how's Janina? How are the boys? She's great. Boys are doing well. How's real estate? I'm so glad you asked. Me and my team are reaching out. Me and my team. Even if you're a solo artist, say me and my team. Because we are. As a company, this is our goal for today and this weekend. Me and my team are reaching out to all the people that we care about, that we know are homeowners, to offer them an equity update. And here's what it looks like. I'm going to make sure you guys know where you stand in the current marketplace. Because if I'm correct, Ted, you bought your house back in 2018. Beyond the shadow of a doubt, you've built equity. And I want to show you what that number looks like. So we can do that today at 4. You want to throw out a weekend date, you can. I'm doing this in real time. Today at 4 or Monday at 5. What works best for you and Stacy? It's always Ted and Stacy, my favorite couple. Beautiful people, by the way. Because when I get to their house, or we're on Zoom, but I think most people are playing in space because people are dying to see each other. So you're at their kitchen table. You deliver the intel. There's 4 things that may or may not happen. They might be like, we really appreciate it, and we're thrilled to have this intel, and that's where we live right now. Okay. Hey, do me a favor. Can you let everyone you know, make them aware of the fact that I'm happy to do this for them? And now it sits on their kitchen island. Their friends will see it. They can talk about it. Or maybe they're going to list. Or maybe they're going to refi. Now, most people will be like, well, not everybody's going to refi because the rates are up. We don't know where the rates were for them when they bought their house. So maybe it is a refi opportunity. Dear Brad Kelly, 603-396-3198. Or maybe it's an equity pull for a pool or a deck or an addition because the in-laws are moving in. I don't know. We don't know. I'm making my point. We don't know. And our job is to bring them the information to help them make their decision of whatever's logically next for them. We're not calling our people that we know and love and trust to have them sell their house, to have them buy a house, to have them invest in real estate, or to have them come join us and sell real estate. We're calling to make them aware of the opportunity that they are currently living in. And if there's a financial growth opportunity for them, we want to make them aware of that. This is how we become consultants. This is how we become more trusted. And this is how we become the agent of choice and the mayor of your town. One conversation at a time. That sounds like a lot of work. Welcome. It is. There's so much opportunity in front of you today. Please go talk to your people. Have the conversations that are necessary to be the person you wanted to be when you started in this industry. Go get your unfair share. Go make an obnoxious amount of money, because we are paid in direct correlation with the amount of people that we help. So if you're looking at your bank account and your cat and you're figuring out how many pieces of ramen you're going to eat today, I'm joking with you, and I'm not, for some. We are in absolute and total control of our financial greatness. You've got your phone. You've got people in your phone you know and love and trust. And there's a homeowner in your phone that requires your phone call today. You guys hung out with Michael Mayer yesterday. I talk about this all the time. The mantra in this book, and I'm sure it fell out of his face yesterday. Today, somewhere in Portsmouth, someone's looking for help, and it's my job to find them. That is our job. This is what we do. If you guys need some help with these conversations, if you're stuck in your own head, if you're stuck in your own way, let me help. Meetwithcoach.com. Questions, comments, concerns, hopes and dreams, or you just need some help with a script, it's 603-834-2856. We'll see you in and around the Market Center. The rest of today, don't forget, there's an opportunity to jump in for the digital ticket with the Millionaire Real Estate Investor with Gene Rivers. The link is in the news. We're doing Profit Share. We're talking about why we're all partners with this company today at 11 o'clock on Keller TV, and then Back to Basics with your brokers at 1 o'clock on Keller TV. I'll see you soon. Have a great week.